What is up, guys? All right, this is your coach Sean, just here for this week's midweek huddle. All right, so jump on in, if anyone has time, into the Zoom link, and it'd be great to see us in here. So what I wanted to talk about today before we go into a question and answer session is, a bit of information about cardio training and a bit of information about high intensity interval training, or HIIT as is otherwise known, and why to have a nice mixture of both is the best way, to obviously increase our weight loss goals, just increase our fitness in general, and just to actually have an overall better, training regime and lifestyle in general, because doing one of each one like too much will stress out the body too much, whereas not doing enough of it will also just lead to not good actual gains, not good actual increase in the goals that you want to achieve as well. So really just having a nice mixture of the two is what's really, really important. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that today. So first off, right, like everyone has this certain idea of like cardio training. So I just wanted to talk about exactly what cardio is, and sort of so people understand the difference between what cardio is and what high intensity interval training is. So cardio training is exercise with the purpose of actually developing cardiovascular or aerobic fitness. All right, so cardiovascular being like, our heart pumping. So it's a good measure of the heart's ability to actually pump oxygen-rich blood into the muscles. All right, so super important, obviously. So cardio training generally involves exercising at a constant, moderate level of intensity. Think about just going out for like a slow jog, for a specific duration. So you just pick a time, like a half an hour to an hour or whatever, during which that cardiovascular system is allowed to replenish. All right, so to bring back up our oxygen to the working muscles. So typical activities, as I've already mentioned a little bit, jogging, walking, cycling, swimming, jumping rope, and climbing up the stairs, and rowing. So rowing either outside or on a rowing machine. So there's so many different reasons why it's actually important, right? So cardio training plays a vital role in human health and performance. So with regular cardio training, one can expect numerous metabolic changes. Okay, so some of them include increased cardio output, increased oxygen uptake, increased blood flow to active muscles, increased blood volume, improved thermoregulation, increased oxidative enzyme concentrations, lower rate of all-cause mortality. All right, so lower rate of all-cause mortality, lower rate of cardiovascular disease, which is what we all want, lower incidence of type 2 diabetes, as well as decreases in colon cancer, breast cancer, osteoporosis, and it lowers the rate of our total body fat as well. So super important, as you can see, guys. All right, so many different benefits to it, obviously, and introducing just a small amount of regular cardio training, but not too much, can actually greatly improve our health. Okay, so what you should know. So as just with strength training, all right, so obviously we have cardio, we have strength training, and we have HIIT training. And today I'm going to be just diving into cardio and HIIT particularly. We can talk about strength training at a different time. So when you look at cardio training, just with strength training, it requires proper progression, all right, variation and specificity and overload if beneficial adaptations are to actually occur. So when we're looking at how to design an effective cardio program, it's not just a case of, go out for 15 minutes every day, like, and go for a walk. Like, it's not that. There needs to be like a difference, different types of cardio exercises, because they all provide different benefits. There needs to be different times. And, as I say, a mixture of whether it's inside or it's outside. And there's a couple of different variables, all right, which I'm going to go through. So number 1 is the mode. Number 2 is the frequency. Number 3 is the duration, and number 4 is the intensity. All right, all really, really important to think about when it comes to our cardio training. So as I already talked about a tiny bit already, so our mode. So we can obviously alter the mode of exercise to actually what you like, and to actually maybe, you have certain injuries and your body's unable to do certain type of cardio activity. So that's okay. We can alter that to a different type of cardio activity. So there's many different ones, all right, included as cardio. So like swimming, as I said already, jumping rope, jogging or running, cycling, cross-country skiing, you know, going on the cross trainer or the elliptical, dancing, and rowing again as well. Super, super good one. And when choosing your activities, again, obviously just be thinking about what your body's actually able to do. And as I said, again, whether there's any injuries that would maybe causing pain when doing certain activities, and make sure that you obviously, you know, do something that, you know, doesn't increase level of pain, and that you actually enjoy it. All right. And you obviously want to increase your skill level with it, and you want to improve that joint and your joint health and the surrounding climate. So it depends. So season to season, you might find that you like one type of cardio activity in the summer, one type of cardio activity in the winter. All right, super normal. So the second one then is frequency. Okay, so frequency, what I mean is it's the number of cardio sessions that you perform per day or per week. All right, so this will be dependent on your training status and your intensity. So literally 2 to 5 sessions per week will suffice depending on what your goals are. All right, so it depends again on the particular type of training, all right, and what activities and or sports you're doing, maybe on the outside, maybe you have other sports that you do as well. And guys, you want to be attaining health benefits like expending, as you can do it for as little as 150 calories per day via cardio training. That's what you want to aim for. So like 20 minutes of cardio training 3 times a week is ideal for maintaining our cardiovascular fitness levels, assuming again that the intensity is appropriate. So it always needs to be moving forward so that we're constantly progressing. And then the third variation is duration. All right, again, super important, because you don't want to be doing it for not enough time, whereas we also don't want to be doing it for too much time where we become bored or we start hating it. So duration is obviously the length. All right, so aim for 15 to 16 minutes of continuous cardio training. There's not really much point in doing much else, you know, much more than 60 minutes cardio training, unless of course you're training for an endurance event. But I'm just talking about general day-to-day fitness here. We're not, you know, going into any sort of, you know, athletic events or like ultra running marathons or running a marathon in general or anything like that. And then the fourth variation is intensity. All right, so number 4. So the intensity of the cardio training is obviously important as well. So, and can be monitored via the heart rate, you know, which you may have. Maybe you can wear a heart monitor across your chest, or if you have you know, a tracker. They're not really accurate when it comes to heart rate, but it's better than nothing basically, or just measuring your pulse. So yeah, just having a measurable, something that you can actually measure it with is really good, as I say. So to attain our cardiovascular fitness, to actually know the proper amount, we need to be exercising between 60% to 90% of our max heart rate, which is 50 to 85% of our heart rate reserve. All right, so we don't want to be too low and we don't want to be too high. So the race increases, obviously, remember as well, just it goes up and up and up as the workload increases. So for example, you'll find that when you're going to walk up a hill, when you're out for your walk, obviously, you know, the workload is increased. So, you know, your cardiovascular and your heart rate is going to increase as well. So the maximum level that can be attained is dependent, of course, on your age. All right. It depends on the climate as well. So, you know, obviously with higher altitudes and stuff like that, and we hear about that all the time. Fitness level, obviously, gender, and if you're on any medications and all that sort of stuff, which, you know, isn't ideal, but it is what it is. Maximum heart rate can then be estimated by subtracting your age from 220. So, for example, for me, I'm 33. So my average heart rate would be 220 minus 33, which is 187 beats per minute. All right, so that's the max. That's my max heart rate. So I don't want to be sitting in that level for too long. Like sitting in a max heart rate level for too long, it's just going to put major stress in your body. So you want to find that nice balance. So cardio training can obviously be really helpful for achieving optimal body composition because of the high calorie expenditures, as we all know, which is why we see so many people like thinking that cardio is the only way to lose weight when it's actually really not. It also obviously helps to lower relative percentage of body fat, because it does have some really good benefits, but it has little to no effect on muscle mass, which is the main point here of why too much cardio is not too good, which I'll be going into in further videos. So cardio training tends to elicit a greater cortisol response than strength training. Okay, so high levels of cardio training are obviously as well associated with protein loss from muscle, which again, we don't want. We always want to be, you know, increasing our muscle mass. by having more protein. But again, that nice balance of cardio, strength, and HIIT, as I've mentioned multiple times, is really, really important for everything there. And because of doing too much cardio, guys, this, and the protein loss from muscle, this can lead to a reduction in mass and strength, which again is what we don't want. So if you're training for something that involves maximal strength and or mass, consider keeping your cardio sessions relatively brief and less frequent. So for example, if I'm training just to increase my muscle mass, I do not want to be running a half an hour to an hour 5 times a week, because that's just going to like blow through my strength. It's just going to just completely decrease my muscle mass. It's going to completely blow my strength training out of it. So you want that nice mixture of a little bit of cardio, mixed with some high intensity again, and then obviously your strength training as well. So we're not burning through too much protein and we're not expending too much energy, which is why doing too much cardio, steady state cardio especially, is not ideal. So the good thing about cardio, obviously, all right, there's again a lot of good things, as I've mentioned. It's great for all the stuff that I've mentioned above, cardiovascular fitness and everything else, and because it has elicits, as I say, a greater cortisol response than the strength training. Okay, so doing a high level of it can result in a muscle fiber type shift from fast twitch to slow twitch. So this will be, again, undesirable for people such as power athletes, sprinters, and Olympic lifters. All right, so too much cardio for all people like this is not too good. All right, again, for general fitness, it's nice having the mixture. So even though it's not ideal for power lifters and sprinters and Olympic lifters, okay, this type of fiber shift is actually really beneficial for recreational exercisers and endurance athletes, okay, because we want that. So we want the fast twitch for the power athletes, and you want the slow twitch for other types. So performing regular to moderate cardio training, it can increase our glucose levels and amino acids in muscle and liver cells, which again is super beneficial for our body in general. And this is just not beneficial for the short term, but beneficial for the long term, which is obviously what we want. We want long-term results consistently and sustainable lifestyle changes as well. And it can also greatly influence recovery from strength trainings, which is why you'll see that a lot of people's programs will incorporate strength training, maybe on a Monday, and then you have an active recovery day the next day. For example, maybe a half an hour walk or something like that, right? So that's completely normal and something that I incorporate a lot of inside of my programs. So just to sort of break down a bit about cardio before I jump on into HIIT here. All right, after you've established, the total amount of time that you have, that you can actually dedicate in the week to exercise, set aside less than half of that time for cardio training. All right, you don't want to be putting it all in. You don't want to be doing none. Okay, unless, as I say, you're a power lifter, like a sprint, like, do you know what I mean? That's different. We're just talking about general fitness here, so it's nice to have a nice mixture. All right, so you want to be, for example, if you're exercising 5 hours per week, then 2.5 hours or less could be devoted towards cardio training. All right, and in these 2.5 hours as well, like what I usually do inside my programs is incorporate, HIIT as well. So like in those 2.5 hours. So just to, specify, when your goal is to put on muscle mass while controlling your body fat, which should be always really what we're trying to do more of, because obviously, the more muscle mass we have, the less fat we have, and perform 10 to 15 minutes of cardio training at a low to moderate intensity after strength training workouts. And then on your days off from strength training, it should consist of recovery, like high intensity interval training, dynamic or flexible yoga, or something else low to moderate for 20 to 30 minutes. All right, so again, 10 to 15 minutes after your strength training, days off from strength training, little bit of recovery by just having some low intensity stuff or high intensity interval training. But the low intensity stuff can be something else like yoga or something else low to moderate for about 20 to 30 minutes on the days that we're not doing strength training. So when your goal is to lose body fat and maintain muscle mass, okay, which again is super important. That's really what we want to be doing. Do you know what I mean? So you want to be losing body fat and maintaining muscle mass, and then, as I mentioned above, you can also talk about increasing it as well. But you want to be performing 15 to 30 minutes of cardio training at a low to moderate intensity after strength training workouts. And then your days off from strength training then can consist of recovery, just like low steady state cardio, high intensity interval training. All right, again, dynamic or flexible yoga, flexibility yoga, or something else low to moderate for 20 to 30 minutes. Okay. So that's all about cardio, guys. Hope you found that really useful. What I'm going to dive into now is just a bit about, high intensity interval training, which again is something that, people have mixed feelings about. A lot of people, as I say, think that cardio is the only way to lose weight. Well, it's not. I still do incorporate HIIT training in so many of my own workouts and incorporate it in all of my training programs for my clients as well. All right, so I'm just going to break down what you need to know about HIIT, HIIT or high intensity interval training, and then also benefits of it and how you can use it inside of your own training programs yourself. So exercise, right? So what you need to know about HIIT first of all, okay? So exercise can range from gentle movements to maximal efforts. All right, so HIIT and heavy weights elevate our stress hormones. Okay, mostly every high intensity physical activity is a state of crisis to our body. So our body's just freaking the fuck out. It's like, what the fuck's going on? All right, so endangers oxygen supply to tissue. It increases our body temperature, as we all know, hence why we sweat. We reduces our body fluids, which is why we find we need to drink a lot more water when we work out. And it fuel stores and it causes tissue damage. Like there's so many different things that are going on while we're doing HIIT and heavy weight training, which is why it's providing so much stress on the body. But again, it's for a reason. Okay, so intense exercise creates endocrine and the defense reactions that are similar to those elicited by low blood oxygen levels. All right, high blood carbon dioxide, acidosis, high body temperature, dehydration, low blood sugar, and physical injury and psychological stresses, right? So that's what intense exercise does to our body. It's insane. You're just like, how do we do that? But so hormonally, your body just freaks out. All right, but then it brings out, the big guns to deal with the problem. And so high intensity exercise stresses the body so much that it's forced to adapt. So adapt. So AKA you grow stronger, you grow fitter in a shorter amount of time because your body is forced to adapt to you by you doing this high intensity interval training. Okay, so why am I talking about HIIT? Okay, so why is it so good, right? HIIT is excellent and worked so well for me inside of my journey of losing over 30 kilos in the last 4 years. It helped me lose so much body fat. All right, so I incorporated it so much. Like I wasn't one of those people that went running straight away when I was trying to lose weight. Like I went out for a run, it just felt uncomfortable. I felt heavy. I felt stressed. I was like, no, I don't want to be going out running for like half an hour in order to lose weight. That just was not fun to me. So I was like, honestly, how can I do something in a short amount of time that I can even do on my lunch break in like 15 minutes and then like have a really good workout and then just, go do whatever I actually wanted to do. And I wanted to do a lot of other things, but I knew how important my weight loss goals were. So I wanted to do it obviously in the fastest way possible, and that's why I started incorporating HIIT training into my program. So before I went off track and just went on a little bit of a tangent there of my own journey, losing body fat, super great results for it from doing high intensity interval training or HIIT while maintaining lean body mass, which is what you want. Okay, so it's not like doing this regular cardio where you're losing muscle mass, all right, because you're expending like so much energy and it's not actually helping increase the muscles, right? Whereas with the HIIT training it does, all right, which is good. It has a nice balance of the two because it's high intensity, all right, short bursts. You're strengthening the cardiovascular system. All right, you're developing sport specific energy systems. So like, a lot of Olympic teams would sort of train using high intensity interval stuff because, that's what can happen in these, in these games. You know what I mean? There might be something not going on for a couple of minutes and then all of a sudden it's everything. So they just need to, quickly switch from doing nothing to doing something really fast. And high intensity interval training can help you do that, as well as obviously lots of other benefits that I've already mentioned. You're developing your work capacity. All right. So you're developing the ability to tolerate a high level of intensity for a longer period. All right. You get fitter, I would say, a lot faster from just doing running. Because again, most people when they're doing running, don't progress it. Like as I've talked before, it needs to be progressed. Everything always needs to be progressed. All right. And then for as well as that, other benefits, you're improving your fat and carbohydrate oxidation in your skeletal muscle, and you're developing mental toughness. Fuck me, you are developing mental toughness. All right. And you are literally going to become a badass. Like seriously, it's fucking insane what it does for you. It really, really is. And then it's challenging the fast twitch muscle fibers. All right. Which again, as we mentioned, is really good for all the power lifters and all that sort of stuff. So it's good for some people. All right. It's still good for us to have as well, because we want it improving. But whereas the cardio, alone doesn't do that. It just, doesn't go on to the fast twitch. It just stays with the slow. And those fibers are the ones that are great for strength, power, and actually just looking fucking amazing. All right. So more HIIT, please. So HIIT is obviously extremely efficient, as I mentioned above. That's why I incorporated in. I literally was like, how can I do something in the shortest way possible and not hate it? So I was like, sweet, 10 to 15 minutes. Obviously, it didn't start off with that. It was starting a lot less because I was so much heavier and so unfit. But so I built it up. So it's extremely efficient. 15, 20 minutes I now do when I'm doing my HIIT training. Smash it out, done. It's so good. And compared to a 45-minute run or jog, 5 minutes of HIIT is a lot easier on the joints as well. Which is why obviously I incorporated so much of my programs for people who do have, so like impact injuries and they can't go running and all that sort of stuff. So how to do it? All right. So I've tried lots of different things. All right. Lots of different ways to do it. Again, it comes down to progression and stuff like that. But for most of the time, the best way to do it is, just remember the basic principle. Alternate short bursts of very high intensity with periods of recovery or slow intensity. So think of sprints versus a walk. Okay. So the longest, So the style that I like to do, there is a range really. All right. But one of them I like to do is one that is very, very popular. It's called the Tabata Method. Okay. So this is probably one of the most famous studies. And how this is done is it's 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. It's become literally one of the most common methods of doing HIIT. So I usually like to keep it to that way for beginners, and then we progress it up from there. And again, we can have like many sort of different exercises all incorporated in the actual circuit. So there could be like say 10 different exercises, and you're going 20 on, 10 off, 20 on, 10 off. And you're just getting 10-second breaks in each one. You might do that maybe just once when you're starting off as a beginner, then you obviously progress it to like 2, 3, 4 times. And you can incorporate weighted circuits in this as well, right? So you can obviously do body weight to start with, then you can, have your medicine ball or your other weights around you, and you can, progress it up that way too. So there's literally 3 variables that I, would increase it on, and when I'm doing it, which would be range, speed, and load. Okay. So whether you can increase your range. All right. So think of example, how when you're doing a squat, and like how low to the ground you can get, how, what's your range of mobility. Obviously then you have your speed, so how fast can you do it, aka the faster you can do it, the more cardiovascular fitness you're increasing. And then obviously your load. All right, so you start off with your body weight. If that's too easy and you're able to do it really fast and you got maximum range, increase the load. Right, so really, really simple. All right, so you don't always have to jump straight off to grabbing a set of weights. All right, like if you don't want to go and get a set of weights, that's fine. Increase your range and increase your speed. And then if you want to really work on muscle mass, obviously, again, body weight will take care of everything to start with, and for a long time for most of us, depending on where you're starting from. Okay, so then you get the weights. All right, so using resistance training again, resistance exercises while doing high intensity interval training is really, really effective method as well. All right, I don't incorporate too much weight stuff myself. I normally just do body weights, but there's, there's lots of different things. You could do like kettlebell swings for like 20 on, 20 off. You can do snatches, 20 on, 20 off. You can do cleans, or just like, jumping squats or something like that while holding the medicine ball maybe, or like, everyone knows burpees and everyone hates burpees, but they're so good. You could also obviously do some combo exercises. All right. So for example, if you have like a pull-up bar, or you have something that you can do a pull-up on, you pull up, pull up, drop down, do a push-up, maybe jump back to the pull-up bar, do another one. You can do a high and clean, you can do a front squat, you can do an overhead press. So many different things. So many different things. So how do you customize HIIT for your goals, right? That's the question we're all asking here. So you can mix up your HIIT choices to avoid overtraining and overuse injuries. So as I've already mentioned, I like to incorporate it depending on what people's goals are, about 1 to 2 times a week, mixed around other cardio routines, like, walking, rowing, other stuff, and, body weight circuits. That's basically the way that I set up a lot of my people's programs, depending obviously, exactly on where they're at, and, I customize specifically for them. And if you're a competitive athlete who needs energy systems to work for your sport, incorporate some sessions of sport specific HIIT work. But for us general ones, just a nice mixture of our push, pull, hinge, and squat and pattern exercises are exactly what you want to be doing. Okay. So you can also vary the length of the intervals. As I mentioned, I usually start off with 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. All right, so they can literally range anywhere from 10 to 60 seconds. Lower intensity recovery periods can then last anywhere from 10 seconds to a minute. I wouldn't, like, you can do more of a minute. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're quite deconditioned, like, that's absolutely fine to get it started off, but work on bringing that down. All right, so you want to be doing it for less than a minute. So maybe, have it as 90 seconds as a max, and then bring it down by 15 seconds so that, you're down to 15 seconds rest, and you're amazing. So because of the different exercises that you can obviously incorporate into a high intensity interval training workout, all the exercises are specific to the areas of the body that you're working. Okay, so if you're doing squat, jumps, and running, you'll actually get better at squat, jumps, and running. All right, so they're exercise specific results that you will see, and obviously, the results and the benefits that go along with those particular exercises. So you can maximize your HIIT performance by using non-competing exercises. So for example, push exercise versus a pull exercise, so a push-up or a row. Okay, so instead of doing like split squats, which is alternated with squat jumps, which are working the same muscles, you, as I say, work body weight rows and squat jumps. All right, so they're 2 different ones. So you're working on a pull and you're working on a squat. Okay, so really intense bouts of exercise, the body's energy requirement can increase from 2 to 20 fold. Fucking insane. All right, and during the first 1 to 2 hours after intense exercise, your body's energy requirements remain high. All right, aka you burn more calories for longer. All right, so after steady state cardio or running or jogging for a short amount of time, you don't burn as many calories as you do after doing a high intensity interval training. You will literally continue to burn calories for hours, 1 to 2 hours after. So I've already given you many examples of what high intensity is, but as I say, main thing to think about is think about sprints versus a walk. Okay, so HIIT will not only just improve your body composition, it will literally extend your life. Right, it has extended my life obviously massively. It's helped me lose 30 kilos over the last 4 years. As I mentioned, I still incorporate it weekly into my programs for myself. Okay, and it's just so amazing. So yeah, and I've given you plenty of different options of how you can incorporate it in there as well. So that brings it for today's video, guys. I hope you found that really beneficial and found some value in the differences between what cardio is and how it benefits you, and what high intensity interval training is and how it benefits you. And as I said multiple times, incorporating both into a program is the best way to get the results, so that you're consistently increasing your muscle mass and you're losing body fat at the same time. All right, and that is the goal. That's what you want. All right, you don't want to be losing muscle mass. You want to be increasing it, because then the muscle mass will drive down the body fat, and that is exactly what we all want to be doing all the time, in order for it to be living our optimal lives, in order to be you know, as high percentage of muscle as we possibly can, because remember, the more muscle we have, the less fat we have. So that's what we want. We want to bringing that level down. All right. So bringing our body fat percentage down. All right. Not necessarily our weight. The main thing is the fat. So that's why I wanted to talk about this today. So I hope you found that really beneficial today, guys. If you have any questions about it, any questions, you know, about anything else, you know, in your program, or you're looking for a program, you know what I mean? If you're looking for a program that incorporates everything, you're not sure where to start with your health and fitness goals, you know, you're wanting to lose some weight, or you're wanting to increase your muscle mass, or you want to just improve your fitness and improve your routines. Like, I have so many different types of programs that can work for you. Again, I can customize it to everything. So I have so many different options for depending on where you're at. So if you're looking for something like that, I'd be more than honored to coach you. You just reach out, just send me a, you know, send me a DM, send me a message, or, you know, comment somewhere, wherever you're seeing this, and I'm sure I'll speak to you very soon. All right. So take it easy, and I hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll speak to you next time. Bye.